Yesterday, I talked about survival mode, about the numbness that I was feeling, and about just getting through the day. What I wanted to talk about today is what happens when that numbness starts to lift. It didn't happen all at once, it was subtle. I didn't wake up feeling different. I just started noticing that I was starting to feel more. And that actually surprised me. Tears would show up without warning, not because something was happening in that moment, but because something triggered a memory, a day I'd lived through when I didn't have capacity to feel anything at all. It felt like a lot like post-traumatic stress, and maybe it was. Something small triggered a moment from those early years, and suddenly I was crying in a way I hadn't before. Not because things were worse, but because I finally had space to feel what I had been locking away. During that first year, there was no room to process anything. There was no room to stop and take it all in. I was numb because I had to be. So when life slowed down, even slightly, all of that emotion came rushing back, not neatly and not gradually, just when it felt like it. For a while, that was confusing. I couldn't understand why things felt heavier after the crisis had passed. I couldn't understand why things felt heavier after the crisis had passed. Looking back now, I can see it differently. I'm not coming at this as a professional or as an expert. I'm not a psychologist or a doctor. I'm just someone who's lived through a lot of trauma and learned things the hard way. What I understand now is that survival mode doesn't let you process the trauma while it's happening. It keeps you moving. The feelings don't disappear, but they wait. They wait until your body feels that you're safe to feel them. And that's why this phase can feel really unsettling. When you've been running on adrenaline for a long time, slowing down doesn't feel calm right away. It feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar doesn't always feel safe. For a long time, I thought something was wrong with me. Looking back, I can see it differently. My body was finally catching up to what I'd lived through. Those tears weren't a breakdown, even though it felt like it at the time. They were an acknowledgement of the days that were overwhelming, moments that were frightening, and decisions I made just to get through what was in front of me. Once I stopped fighting that, something eased. I stopped pushing myself to return to who I used to be. I stopped measuring myself against a version of the life that no longer existed. Instead, I started paying attention. Not in a self-improvement way, just a practical human way. Noticing when I got overwhelmed faster than I used to. Noticing when certain situations felt like too much, even if they never used to. Noticing when I needed to leave earlier, slow things down, or step back. That wasn't going backwards for me. It was an adjustment. It wasn't trying to get back to the person that I was before everything changed. I was learning who I was now. That work was slower, it was quieter, and it didn't look impressive. Some days it looked like stopping earlier than I used to and not explaining myself. This channel isn't about transformation. It's about learning how to stand inside your life again after it's been completely rearranged. If emotions are showing up now that you didn't have access to before, that doesn't mean you're falling apart. Most of the time, it just means your body finally believes it's safe enough to feel those feelings. That's the question I kept coming back to. How do you still live well from here?